It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and before we get into our next report, which of course is Great Flinders football, I need to take you back to last week here on the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Our correspondent Chris Prime was on, and we had this to say about how he would go in the reserves game, which he was begrudgingly pulling the boots on for, and I asked him, I made a request of him anyway. Let's have a listen.
Yes, I have got the boots going on.
Good stuff. We'll get your money's worth, mate. You get change out of a 20, but we need at least half a dozen out of you. We'll catch up next week and see if you cashed in or not. So there we go. We wanted half a dozen goals from him. Chris Prime, he's back with us this week. Primey, how are you, mate?
I am great. Thanks, Chase.
Now, we're going to go through each of the grades and we'll get to the reserves soon, but off the top, after hearing that clip, I've got to ask you, how many did you kick last week?
6.
So we put the order in and you produced. All right, so just got the 6 and then came off the ground. Is that the deal?
No, I came off at half time. As I was coming off the ground, I found myself sort of on a lead and took a mark and just slotted one and then left the ground a la AFL style. Kick a goal, get off.
My mail is at half time you had to hand out a jumper for one of the A-grade boys. Is that right?
Yes, Tumby's got a tradition of when you play your first A-grade game for the club, they get someone in to present the Guernsey.
I like that.
So, yeah.
And that was you. So come off the ground after kicking a goal, go in, present the jumper, run back out, kick another 3.
Yeah, I took a little bit of a breather. I didn't go straight back on, so it takes a little bit of time to warm back up when you have a bit of a slowdown.
Fair enough. We've talked enough about Chris Prime. Let's talk about Elliston and Western Districts. It was their first game in Great Flinders football competition against your Tumby Bay Blues, and we're going to go all the way back and start with how the day rolled out for them and your team as well, your club as well. We're going to go back to the Mini Colts, and it was the Tumby Bay Minis were a bit too good for the Elliston and Western Districts boys, but they put a team on the park and they had a good time from all reports.
Yeah, look, I think right from the word go, Elliston Districts they were competitive right through, and when you're getting the under-12s, it does depend on the number of big kids and their ability, and I think the Tumby Bay team just had a couple too many bigger kids and scored, although I think Jeffo might have them in front of the goals, pressing their goal, kicking at 4-7.
Yeah, indeed. 4-7 to no score, but that's not a massive margin in Mini Colts game. But tell you what, though, the Senior Colts game, this was a beauty. Tumby Bay prevailed in the end 11-11-77 to 10-4-64. A very high-quality, competitive game of Senior Colts footy, from what I'm told.
It was an excellent game. Look, Elliston Districts got out of the blocks, had a good lead at quarter time. The Tumby boys started playing a bit better in the second quarter, and it was a goal in it at half time. And it pretty much went neck and neck right to the end. The Roosters getting back, I think, might have even hit the front there in the last quarter. So, it was an excellent game, like good skills all round, and Tumby was pretty lucky to get out on top.
Indeed. A couple of goals for Richardson and Burgoyne for Tumby, and Newton booted 2. Lapsley Forrest booted 2 and Fleming 2 for Elliston Districts. Best players for the Madden, Van Dorn and Newton. And for Tumby Bay, best players Richardson, Carr, Fowler and Trezire's names we've heard plenty of times before for the Blues. So good game of footy, that one, mate. And then we get to the Rezzies, and we've already sort of talked about this one. You booted 6 for the Blues, but this was a pretty competitive game as well, mate.
Look, it was, I think, one quarter. Tumby kicked away in the second, kicking 5 goals. But other than that, it was pretty much neck and neck. I think Elliston Districts had the better of the second half, and Tumby we fell over the line in the end. But we take it any way we can these days.
Exactly. 11-6-72 the Blues, Elliston Districts 6-5-41, and take out Chris Prime, and Elliston Districts go goal for goal.
Yeah, you just need a big target, and if I wasn't there, it would have been someone else. We would have had someone else step up. But once again, it was a pretty competitive game. This time of year, skills in B grade, as in any grade, normally are lacking a little, and fitness for a lot of us was lacking a lot.
Yes, I think Darren Rule once famously coined the phrase "fitness lacking," and one could be saying that about the reserves comp in the early stages of a season, particularly when most blokes in the Resi's probably had the year off last year, Primey.
Well, they did, and I think quite a few of them started pre-season at 5-1.
Yeah, fair enough too. The A-grade game was a beauty and very, very competitive all the way through to three-quarter time, and it was only the last quarter where the Blues kicked away. The final scores finished 15-8-98 Tumby Bay, Elliston and Western Districts 9-6-60, but the first win fairy tale was still in the picture all the way up to three-quarter time where they only trailed by the 4 points. You got hold of them in the last quarter though, Chris.
Yeah, it did. It was a pretty scrappy affair, but both sides hit the ball hard. And I think once again it came down to Ellison Districts probably not having trained together as much as Tumby and probably lacking that little bit of fitness, which they'll build up over the first month of footy, and that was the difference. Like, it doesn't take much, and when you're starting to feel that puff, like, it's just hard to keep going. And once Tumby got that 1 or 2 goals in front, they piled on 3 or 4 late ones to really blow the score out from what was a pretty tight contest right through.
Indeed, yeah. Damon King O'Loughlin booted 4 goals, 2 for Elliston Western Districts. Very handy footballer. A couple of names that I'm not overly familiar with for Tumby. You could fill me in on Young Momfries, who booted 3, but Hardwig as well booted 4. So 7 of Tumby's 15 goals coming from those 2. Who are they, Chris?
Matty Hartwig came to us last year, and Momfries came to us. He's the player I presented the Guernsey to. He had the toughest spot on the oval, playing full forward. He was first game for the club, so it's good to get away with a few goals.
Perfect. Joey Walker is someone I'm very familiar with. He was best for Tumby, along with Laurie, Hartwig and Gary. And Paul Williams Bascom, and I'm going to have a crack at this name. I've seen it before, but I've never got it right once, so I'm not going to start now, but I'll have a go anyway. I'll try again. Paleologodulius. I think I've absolutely butchered that, Primey, but he was named in their best as well. You got any idea how to pronounce that?
No, and I'm glad you had a go.
Let's move on. Well done, Tumby. Well done, Elliston and Districts, and we'll talk about their next clash in a moment. The other A-grade match from the weekend, though, was played at Kipini. It was played at Cummins. It was Cummins-Kipini taking on the Saints, Air United, and well, Cougars thrashed them 25-17-167, Air United 6-2-38. What we thought we were going to get out of Cougars, it looks like we're going to get. They look pretty strong this year.
Oh, look, they do, and I think the few people I've talked to, like Air United, started a little bit slowly, and they started the third term quite well. I think they kicked the first 1 or 2 in the start of the third, and then Cougars came through and kicked 10 goals. Look, I think Cougars probably once again this time of year, Cougars are pushing to train 2 nights a week, and that fitness just showed. Lucky Pate, obviously stand out. Joey Wagner, full forward, kicking 10. Apparently, if he kicked a little bit straighter instead of 10 goals, 11, he might have had a few more in the bag. So it's a pretty daunting task for other sides coming up against them. And we won't know until everyone's had a crack at them where we sit. So,
well, that's very true. And I'll tell you who will find out where they sit against them this weekend. Elliston and Western Districts. They take on Cummins-Kipini Cougars at Elliston. Good luck, you would say?
Oh, look, I would, but like Elliston Districts last week, it was a historic day for the league. With them playing their first game, and once again they'll be pumped to play their first game at home. Look, they'll be a big task, but I reckon Elliston Oval's a little bit smaller.
Yep,
and it just crowds things up, which will make it hard for full forwards and to get that free space. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think it'll be a tough ask for Elliston, but I think they'll give it a fair crack.
they'll have it a red-hot go. That's the one thing you know about Elliston and Western Districts before they step out there. Everybody does, but these guys in particular will have a red-hot crack like they did last week. It's just whether or not their fitness and their connection, as we saw after three-quarter time last week, Tumby got hold of them, and I could see maybe Cummins Skipini doing something similar. So good luck to the Elliston and Western Districts crew. Other games in the round on the weekend. So Ramblers and your boys Tumby. So Ramblers get their first game of the year. You're heading off to Cummins, traditional rivals. You'd be looking forward to it, Primey.
Oh, look, we are. Look, it's probably a bit of an advantage of playing a side that didn't play last week. One game under the belt, like so much more match fitness. Ramblers are traditionally reasonably strong. Not always the fastest starters of the year, but look, I reckon it'll be a pretty tight game in the A grade. Won't be a couple of kicks in it, and could go either way.
All right, we'll keep the tape on this one too. Playing Ramblers, I'll just back off a little bit. I was going to ask for 10 this week after you kicked 6 last week, but look, I'll just back off and say a handful wouldn't be enough this week. If you could boot 5 against Ramblers, I'll give you a pass mark for that, Primey.
You've got to think we're now seasonally adjusted. Like we only play 16-minute quarters in the B grade.
That's right.
So we actually, by the time we walk off, we've played for 64 minutes, which is what we used to play for 3 quarters. So
really 5's worth 7, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
so
you only have to kick 75 to kick 100.
There you go. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So 5, that's all we're asking for. Not too much. It shouldn't be too much trouble, I wouldn't have thought, for your good self. And the other game is at Lock. And this will be interesting because we get our first look at both Lock and United Yolanda. Now, my understanding is the Eagles have lost a few from their dominant premiership teams of recent times. This should be interesting because Lock don't mind having a red-hot crack, particularly early in the year on their home deck when everyone's even. I think they'll have a full quota, and we'll see how the Eagles go.
Yeah, look, I think it will be a pretty tight contest. Lock are always pretty tough. I think they'll pick a couple up, and as you said, the Eagles have lost a couple, so it will be tough. Yolanda will probably still have, I think, a few smart heads there that might get them over the line, but it once again, I think the round of footy will be pretty outstanding in Great Flinders, and I think if you've got nothing to do on a Saturday, I'm pretty sure you'll find an oval that will be pretty entertaining.
Exactly. Cummins, Elliston and Lock, that's where the action is this week. The crew from Air United get the week off with the bye. Primey, just a lazy 5 from you. Thanks, and we'll check in again next week. Look forward to it, mate. Enjoy the footy.
No worries. Thanks, Jake.